Thanks everyone for joining us this week. This is Catamaran Basics 101.
Right.
Lisa and I walk around LaVenture and discuss all the systems, how everything works. She asks the questions that many of you have when you first come aboard LaVenture. It is Lisa and our hope that this will help make a much more enjoyable experience on your voyage aboard LaVenture.
It's been a long, hard season. I'm feeling weary to my bones. I guess that's my reason. I packed my bags and now I'm gone. Somewhere between the sun and the deep blue sea. That's where you find me. Tender red.
Randy and I have been sailing for years, and actually I sail with Randy. He's the captain of the boat. I have the utmost respect for his skills, but I've always wanted to know, have like more knowledge about where, if something happened, you know, I could maybe at least get us back safely, or you know, because there's a lot that goes into sailing, and I appreciate all his knowledge and everything that he knows. I've been sailing for a long time as not really the co-captain. I'm an adjunct, and what I do is Randy will say, okay, I want you to do this, and he specifically tells me what to do. But because he tells me what to do, my brain hasn't actually you know, been thinking about what I need to do. I just do what I need to do. But I need to like make my brain put all this together so that I know why we're doing something, and maybe I could even anticipate what he wants me to do. That would make me feel a lot better.
So this week we've been doing a basic 101 of catamaran sailing. So we're walking around LaVenture and we're discussing what everything's called, but more importantly what everything does. And we've had some great conversations.
I'm going to take it down to an elemental level.
Yes.
Because Randy's way up here in his thinking process, and I need to know when the sails go to the starboard, when they go to the port. I need to know when we're using which lines. I need to know, like, you know, just this traveler, you know, the main sheet and how it works with the traveler. There are so many things on a boat to think about. So this is nothing accelerated. This is something very basic, but for anybody that comes to visit us, I think you'll feel a lot better because you'll know what we're doing.
Yeah, you'll have a great idea of what the layout of the boat is and what the lines are all for and what we use the winches for. It'll just give you a great basic understanding of sailing a catamaran. Okay, so this is our halyard for our new Code Zero, and it's connected to a bowsprit with a block so we can adjust the sail, and we're going to talk about the parts of the sail also this week so that you understand when we talk about adjusting the sails and looking at the sails to make sure that they're right. So this is our jib sail. It is furled. This is a furling drum. And as we pull the sail out and it unfurls, this furling line then coils around the furler drum here so that when we want to bring it back in, we can pull on this line and it revolves, bringing the sail back to a furled position here. So
what's really exciting about these lines is Randy's got them all color coded so that we know that this furling line is this neon green.
Yes, and as it goes to the back of the boat where we adjust it, again, it's all this yellow bright line so that we know which line to adjust quickly and easily.
And these red lines are for the jib.
Exactly. So any line that controls a sail is called a sheet. So these are called the red lines here are called jib sheets, and they adjust the sail depending on which tack we're on. So let's talk about tacks. So if the sails are on the starboard or the right side of the boat and the wind's coming from port, then we're on a port tack.
Okay, you probably should go over that a little bit. So you're saying that the wind is coming from the port or the left side of the boat?
Yes.
I'm going to make it more into like language that we all can understand, because Randy just intuitively speaks in this sailor lingo that sometimes throws me. So the wind is coming from over here.
Right.
And so the sails are going to want to go on the other side because it works kind of like a plane, and the wind goes along the wing or the sail. Is that correct?
Right. So we unfurl the sail, so if the wind's coming on our starboard side, either towards the front of the boat, the mid part of the boat, or the aft part of the boat, the sails are going to be on this port side of the boat. So we would, in the case of the jib, we're going to pull on the jib sheet to unfurl the sail. We're going to let loose this line at the block back aft.
On the port side, we're going to pull the jib sheet out.
Exactly.
And that's going to unfurl the jib.
Right.
And the wind's going to come from the starboard side.
Right. And sheets are running rigging because they're always running. We're adjusting things. The other type of rigging is standing rigging, and that's what holds our mast up. So we have two side stays that are swept aft on a catamaran because we don't have a back stay. So it creates a triangle to secure the mast and keep it up.
Which also limits how far
the boom can go out.
The boom can go out.
Exactly, and that's a good point. So on a catamaran, we can only do a broad reach. We can't run free with the wind directly behind us with the mainsail up because the stays are slightly aft, but they won't let the boom all the way to be perpendicular to the wind.
Okay, maybe you could repeat that one more time. You can only do a broad reach.
On a catamaran, that's as far as we can get the boom out.
And a broad reach is where you're going to...
The wind is coming over the aft corner, the back corner of the boat. And then running free, the wind's coming directly behind us, but we can't get the boom out perpendicular to that. So in that case, we either have the jib flying here, or we have this code, now we have this code 0 up, and it's our downwind sail. It's a huge sail. It's like a jib on steroids.
And we're going to go over that. We're going to pull that out in one of the next episodes, right?
Right. And you may have seen it already in some of our episodes, but we'll have a separate time when we go through putting that together and putting that up as well. And it's become our popular sail.
I didn't realize how important it was to have a code 0. But when they're coming down from South Carolina, they need, the wind is usually coming
from the north, right, directly behind us. So we can fly this sail. And then when we leave in the summer, the wind is from the southeast, so it's also many times behind us. So we will be using this sail constantly. You'll see it in our videos many, many times. Let's take a moment and discuss points of sail. Remember, a starboard tack then is the sails are on the port side and the wind is coming over the starboard side of the boat. And a port tack, the wind is coming over the port side of the boat and the sails are on the starboard side. When we are sailing close to the wind, 30, 40 degrees, it is considered a close hauled course. Close reaching, we're 50, 60 degrees off the wind, and at 90 degrees off the wind, it's a beam reach because the wind is coming straight over our beam. We've talked about broad reaching, and that wind is coming over our aft quarter. Running free, the wind's coming directly behind us, which we now use our beautiful turquoise and orange code 0.
Okay.
So the jib is furled around the forestay. So you have your forestay, which is the stay in front of the mast, and then the side stays, which we'll show you here in a second, are on either side of the boat, forming a triangle to support the mast. We have spreaders, which we'll also show you on the mast, that also add stability and to the mast.
Called again?
And then this is a halyard, and halyards raise sails. So we have a code 0 or spinnaker halyard here on the bowsprit, and then we have a main halyard to raise the mainsail, which is the black line on our boat. And then we also have a halyard that's a jib halyard that pulls the furling system up. So that's how we would lower the sail.
And which one of these sheets that you use that's attached to the code, no, to the, what is this?
The jib?
The jib, depends on which way you're unfurling the sail.
Right,
So,
right.
okay, just basic.
And also here we might point out is we have the anchor below Lisa, and it is connected with about 250 feet of chain, which we let out when we're going to anchor.
And our windlass is in that locker,
Right,
which is so that we don't have to manually pull up the anchor. We can go ahead and use the windlass, and it works off of the what? The battery?
yes. Well, it's connected to our port side engine and start battery. So we run the port engine when we're using the windlass.
So one time our port engine wasn't working for just a little bit, and that creates a problem for the windlass.
Right, getting the chain out, yes, and then getting it up is the toughest part even.
Yes.
So. So anyway, we're going to take you on a little bit of tour. I want you to be able to see the mast here. And you can see where the spreader stays, connect down here lower. And then I'm going to give you a look up the mast.
Okay, so Randy, just for people that don't know what a mast is, maybe some of our friends, it's just this long pole that goes up, and the mainsail gets pulled up along the mast.
Exactly. And so we were talking about halyards. The code 0 halyard is actually pulled from the starboard side of the boat. You can see that winch and this red and white line here that goes up the mast and then goes to the bowsprit in front of the jib. One of the things that we have, as you can see on the boom, is a stack pack. And this stack pack allows us to drop the sail and have it furl into this pack, and then we can zip it up to protect it from the sun.
And then it has these lazy jacks on the side.
As Lisa points out, the lazy jacks are so important. They keep the mainsail organized as it goes up and flakes it as it comes down neatly into the stack pack.
And it's really important. Like Randy always tells me, when we're raising the sail, you have to go right into the wind, because if you don't go right into the wind, the sail as it's raising will go on outside these lazy jacks. And the mainsail has battens in it that run the width of the sail. So if they get caught, then it won't go up smoothly.
So Lisa's right. So when we raise the mainsail, I hand pull it up to about 2/3 of the way to make sure that the full sail battens that are made out of fiberglass rods in the sail don't catch on those lazy jacks. So I pull it up until I've cleared all those, and then we actually have an electric winch that takes it the final third all the way up to the top of the mast. And our main is a flat top main. So talking a little bit later about sail technology and sail terminology, but we have a large roach, which is an extended leach. So the back of the sail is called a leach. And roach is the additional sail area that it goes out from that leach. And in the case of a flat top main like we have, the top is flat and goes out, giving us much more roach, which in the end gives us much more sail, right, Lisa? So we have a very large mainsail that's very powerful and really drives this boat quite well in all types of wind conditions.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the lines that attach to the boom. And I don't know that I know these, so I'm just going to ask you, is this the main halyard?
That's the main halyard, and normally it'll be brought forward and attached to the head of the mainsail. We have it back of the boom right now because we've left the boat here the last couple of months and we wanted to make sure that we had extra reinforcement at the end of the boom while we were away. And that's the topping lift. So normally that's attached and that holds the boom up when we don't have the sails up. And it's adjusted at the helm station.
Okay, now this is the, what is this?
That is attached at the clew of the sail to hold the end of the sail. Again, the clew is that kringle in there. Yeah, both those lines are tied in such to secure the aft end of the mainsail to the boom.
And then this is?
So that is the main sheet, the blocks, and they control the boom, and they actually terminate at the helm station so we can adjust from there. And then they go down to the traveler, which allows us to adjust the angle of the boom. So when we're going to windward, closer into the wind, we're bringing that traveler towards the wind so that we can center the boom before we let out the main sheet.
And it also prevents you from doing an accidental jibe?
No, that's the preventer, which we'll go over next.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so let's summarize this again. This is the halyard, the main halyard. This is the topping sheet.
Topping lift.
Topping lift.
Because it's lifting
sheet.
the boom, right?
Aren't all the lines sheets?
No, the only lines that are sheets control sails.
That's a good question.
So main sheet, jib sheet, and code 0 sheet. Now on the traveler, we will adjust that traveler so if the wind is coming from the side, especially if it's coming aft of the beam of the boat, we're going to let that out towards the leeward side of the boat because we want to get the boom out there, because we're now, instead of sailing like a wing or an airplane wing, we're being pushed by the wind. So we need to get the boom and the sail more towards the beam of the boat. Okay, so this is a preventer. And when we have the boom outward on a broad reach, this keeps the boom in case the wind would change slightly and try and take the sail to the other side of the boat in an accidental jibe. And jibing is when you turn with the wind behind you. Coming about in a sailboat is when we're turning through the wind. And when we turn through the wind, it's very controlled. We're coming slowly through the head of the wind and back off and adjusting the sails. But when we're turning with the wind behind us, that wind suddenly catches our sails and slaps them to the other side unless we're in control of the sheets. And again, we don't want to do that accidentally and not be prepared for that boom to go to the other side of the boat quickly. So this allows us to have some line on that boom when it's out here and keep it from accidentally going the other direction.
Jibing can actually be a dangerous move, especially in a smaller boat, maybe with the boom. If somebody was standing and the boom went...
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, in our case, the boom is higher, so we probably would not be injured by it, but it certainly could put some incredible stress on the boat, on the gooseneck. So the boom connects to that fitting there on the mast, and this is called the gooseneck. And that allows the boom to go up and down and sideways.
Okay.
Then we have our adjustable traveler for the jib sheets. And the reason that this is important is if we're in light wind conditions, we want to have more belly to the sail, make it a little fatter, it gives us more power. So in that case, if we move this up, then it's adjusting the sail from up here so there's more draft in the jib. If we bring it back here, when it pulls in the sail, it's flatter. So in higher wind conditions, we want to flatten that sail because we want to reduce that amount of power of the sail because of the wind conditions.
But you always want to pull it in until there's no luffing in the sail.
Yeah, so let's talk about luffing. So at the mast, at the front part of the sail, that's called the luff. And the luff, when we're turning and getting too close to the wind, the luff of the sail will become luffing. It'll start flapping a little bit. It'll show some wrinkles when it first starts. And when we're adjusting a sail, we want to let out the sail until we start seeing those little ripples on the front of the sail along the mast. And then once we see those, we bring it in just a little bit more until those wrinkles stop. And that's the perfect point of sail for that wind angle and direction.
So what we're going to do is we're going to use our winch handle to pull in the lines on whatever sail that you want to pull in, and we'll show you how to work those. So all these are basic things, but some people don't know.
Absolutely. And this is the cabin top, and we also have a hard top bimini, which makes it great to get up and work on the stack pack or the sail or flake the sail when needed, and get to the boom.
It's just our little windshield cover.
It sure is. And
nice.
when we're at sea, the side or crashing over the side, it's great to have a little protection there from the wind and the waves. So we're going to talk a little bit about the helm station here. So we have two winches. We have a larger primary Lumar winch that can be manually driven, but also can be electrically driven with a switch. So when we're raising the main, the last 30%, there's a little bit of pressure tension on there. And this certainly helps, or weight, I should say, and this definitely helps get it all the way up. This is our secondary winch, so we use this many times for adjusting the jib. This adjusts the main. We use it again to raise the sail with the main halyard. We have also these rope clutches that when they're open like this, the lines can freely pass through. But then when we cleat it, then we can pull it this way, but it won't go out the other way. So in instance, when we've got the main halyard here and we're cranking the mainsail up, we want to have the rope clutch down so that it doesn't fall down. Every bit we pull, it goes up and then stays there. It gives us a chance sometimes to catch our breath and rest for a second and finish pulling the main up.
Line is connected to what?
Okay.
So here we go again. We're with the black line, and Randy's really done this so that we can tell which line is which quickly. And so this one is going to raise the main.
Yes, so this is our, again, main halyard. Halyards raise the sail, and it's the only really black line except for this jack line along the deck that's black on the boat. So we know this is the main halyard. And again, real quickly, we put this around the winch, about at least 3 wraps around the winch. And then we bring it in here, and that is solid. So the line isn't going to go out. And then we can either press a button and use the electric motor, or again, we can use a winch handle like this, and then we can put it in here, and then we can crank it like this.
Okay, so these 2 cleats are open and these are shut. Now, when are you going to have them open and when are you going to have them shut?
When we get ready to lower the mainsail, we wrap it around here, and then we would open up this rope clutch, and then we would begin to let it slide, and there'll be plenty of weight on that mainsail, so it'll begin coming down on its own. So we then...
So when you're lowering it, are you pulling the... No, you're letting this out.
Yes, so we'd have just 1 or 2 wraps on it, letting it go, because we want to have that sail come down and play. Now, when we're adjusting a sail though, so let's say we've got the main sheet, which is this blue line. So this is controlling the mainsail and the large long boom we have aboard LaVenture. So when we're adjusting it, let's say that we need to let out on the boom, let it go to starboard here. Then we put our left hand with our fingers together and our hand cupped like this, and we put it on the side of the winch, and then we let go.
And then it'll pull it out slowly and controlled.
Right.
But a really important thing
And we're
to
keeping
do,
our fingers away from the line so that we don't lose the finger.
but our fingers are going to have gloves on them.
Right.
Because you never know. You could get a line, your finger caught in between a line, and there's a lot of power in these.
Yes.
Especially when there's wind on.
Yes. So then we would let out a little bit with our right hand, and our left hand, again, our fingers are away and we're cupped tightly, and we're just putting a little friction on the drum here so that lets it out slowly and
But
controlled.
I am the glove Nazi because I work with my fingers all day. So it's really important. I don't want to lose any of them.
And then when it's adjusted, then we close the rope clutch, and then we can take the line off the drum, and everything's
And
secure.
it goes in the line bag, or what's this?
Yes, so we have a line bag here in the helm station where all the lines go when we're not using them, and we coil them before we put them in the bag, so they're always neat, because the key thing is that you want to be able to get to a line quickly and be able to let it out if there's a sudden wind change or problem that needs to be addressed immediately.
Let's review the different lines here.
Okay.
So on our boat, the black line is the main halyard, and it's used to raise and lower the sail.
Yes.
Okay, the blue line,
Is running rigging,
rigging.
and because it adjusts something, and it is a sheet because it adjusts the sail, and because it adjusts the mainsail in the boom, it's called the main sheet.
Okay, so blue is the main sheet, black is the main halyard.
Right. So those are our two lines that we're working with for the mainsail.
And halyard raises and lowers the sail.
Yes.
Okay, now these red lines are for the jib. Is that right?
Correct. So the line in your left hand is when the jib is on the port side of the boat, and the jib sheet in your right hand is for the starboard side of the boat. And when the wind's coming from the port, the sail will be on the starboard side, and you will adjust with the starboard jib sheet.
Adjust
Yeah,
it
the
with
sail's
the
always going to
starboard
be on the
sheet.
opposite side, yeah, of the way the wind's
But
coming.
the starboard sheet adjusts the sail when it's on the starboard side,
When the sail's on the starboard side.
and the port sheet adjusts it when it's on the port side. Actually, it's pretty simple, but I never. Okay, so now these two lines are.
So these are reefing lines. So if the wind builds up above around 20 knots, we have to put a reef in the main. So we use these lines then to actually drop the sail about a third to reduce the sail area so we can sail in higher wind
And that's more
and
advanced
stay
sailing.
flat. But we reduce sail area as the wind builds, so that again, we're sailing fast and stable.
Makes sense. You don't want to have too much sail area. The more sail area you have, the more power. Potentially.
Well, and it puts a lot of pressure on the rig, and a catamaran is very much different than a monohull. A monohull would heel and start spilling the wind if you have too much wind or have too much sail up, right? So
But
the amount of wind.
We can't heel like that.
We can't in a catamaran, so it puts more and more pressure on the rig. So it's real important for a catamaran to understand when your boat needs to be reefed. And in our case, when we get steady wind above 20 knots, when it starts speed 21, 22, 23 steady, then we know we have to put a reef in.
What we hope by going over all these lines is that it can make it simpler for you when you go on a catamaran. If you're just a visitor or if you're a new sailor, right?
That's true.
Because I've been on a boat for a lot of years, And I think this has clarified so many things to me that I really never understood fully. Maybe because I wasn't listening and I had Captain Randy in charge, or I just didn't hear it all. And I think this brought it together. So thank you.
Thanks for joining us, and we're going to have more for you this week. So want to get you comfortable on LaVenture.
We're excited, and I get to watch this and make sure it's all ingrained in his head. Okay.
Thanks again, everyone, for watching Basic 101 on sailing a catamaran. Lisa and I had a great time this week, and we want to thank Frank for coming and getting some great footage for us, lowering and raising the mainsail. Subscribe and like this video. Pass it on to anyone learning to sail their catamaran. Have a great week, everyone.
The roads that lay open are many. When the old one's gone under the knife, and I can